Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following PNQ address to the Honourable Prime Minister, whether in regard to the exercise of sovereignty by Mauritius over the Chagos archipelago, he will state where matters stand as to the negotiations for an agreement with the United Kingdom.
Speaker, let me first of all thank the Honourable Leader of the Opposition for giving me the opportunity to clarify matters on this issue, because lots of rumors are also going on. As the House is aware, on the eve of the dissolution of the National Assembly, that is on the 3rd of October of last year, Mauritius and the United Kingdom issued a joint statement confirming that after 13 rounds of negotiations, they had reached a political agreement on the exercise of sovereignty over the Chagos archipelago. Madam Speaker, immediately after I became Prime Minister, I received a letter from the British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Sir Keir Starmer, informing me that he proposes to send his special envoy, Mr. Jonathan Powell, to Mauritius to discuss these matters. I had a meeting on the 15th of November 2024 with local officials in order to take stock of the status of the negotiations between Mauritius and the United Kingdom. And because since the contents of the negotiations, which had taken place, that is, since November 2022, were unknown to the new government, absolutely unknown. So I immediately asked for an independent review of the confidential draft agreement that we had just been made aware of. This is why I asked also that Mr. Jonathan Powell delays his arrival in Mauritius so I have time to look at what was in the document. Madam Speaker, the British Prime Minister sent his political envoy, Mr. Jonathan Powell, to meet with me on the 25th of November 2024. And he briefed me on the situation to date. And I had told him that we were a bit surprised that the agreement was made on the eve of the dissolution of Parliament. We in the opposition were not aware of anything, and only what we could see, what was happening in the House of Commons. Anyway, following the completion, I said I have to look at the document, analyze it, and see what's in it. Following the completion of the independent review, the opinion submitted by the legal advisors was considered by an interministerial committee chaired by me and comprising the Deputy Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade. Madam Speaker, following the letter which the British Prime Minister addressed to me on the 12th of November 2024, and the meeting which I had with Mr. Jonathan Powell, a delegation of senior officials from the United Kingdom came to Mauritius from the 9th to the 12th of December 2024 for discussions with the Mauritian authorities. Apart from meetings which were held between senior officials, that is from Mauritius and the UK, the head of the UK delegation also called upon me. During the discussions, Mauritius made it clear that while it was still willing to conclude an agreement with the United Kingdom, the draft agreement which was shown to us after the general elections is one which, in our view, would not produce the benefits that the nation could expect from such an agreement. Mauritius accordingly submitted counter-proposals to the United Kingdom so that an agreement which is in the best interest of Mauritius can be concluded. The response of the United Kingdom to our counter-proposals was received on the 16th of December 2024, and these counter-proposals were again considered by the Interministerial Committee, which I just mentioned. Therefore, on the 31st of December 2024, Mauritius submitted its response to the United Kingdom and suggested that parties meet in London in January 2025. A delegation led by the Attorney General proceeded to the United Kingdom to discuss the issues which were raised by us. The talks reached an advanced stage, and the Attorney General returned earlier than expected to brief me. As a result, a special cabinet meeting was called on the 15th of January 2025 to discuss the progress made. However, early on that day, before the cabinet meeting, we were informed by the United Kingdom that in view of the imminent change in the administration in the United States of America, they would look for the views of the new administration before signing the agreement between Mauritius and the United Kingdom on the Chagos archipelago. Notwithstanding this unilateral decision of the United Kingdom to postpone matters, a Mauritius delegation, led again by the Attorney General, went to the United Kingdom for further discussions with the UK in London on the 16th and 17th of January, as was planned. When the Attorney General met with his British counterpart, Lord Hermer, and the United Under-Secretary of State, Stephen Doughty, they both assured him on the commitment of the UK government to signing the agreement between Mauritius and the United Kingdom. At that stage, Mauritius and the United Kingdom had the final agreement ready to be signed. The Attorney General has kept in touch with the Foreign Office, and we are awaiting developments on the UK side. Madam Speaker, I've had a telephone conversation last Friday with the British Prime Minister on the way forward. He rang me, and the British Prime Minister informed me that he intends to push ahead with the agreement reached between Mauritius and the United Kingdom on the Chagos archipelago. We remain confident that it will reach a speedy resolution in the coming weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Having listened to the Honourable Prime Minister, I believe we understand that the stark reality is that, as at today, we do not have an agreement with the UK government. On avait cru voir la lumière au bout du tunnel avec l'accord du 3 octobre de l'année dernière, mais j'ai comme l'impression que cette lumière est en train de s'éteindre. Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, because he mentioned that in his statement he made to the House on the 17th December last year, and he mentioned that also in his reply, that he had received response from the UK government with regard to counter-proposals that our government made. Can the Honourable Prime Minister provide the House with details of the counter-proposal?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I thought the leader of the... First of all, let me say something because he made reference to it, that the light was darkening or whatever. The agreement that the former Prime Minister agreed with the UK was a sellout. We could not agree to it. We would never agree to it. That is something that must be clear. That is why, otherwise we don't know we signed it. We didn't agree with it. It was so bad, I don't want to go into the details, but if you ask me, I will, that we said, no way. Sovereignty was the biggest issue. It had to be unambiguous, undiluted, that we have full sovereignty, not only on the Chagos, but including Diego Garcia. That was not in the agreement. The second point, the agreement was for an agreement for 99 years, and then unilaterally, the British would decide on an extension of that agreement for 40 years. We had no say in it. We disagreed completely. It cannot be that an agreement is signed for 99 years, and then the British on their own would decide they will renew the agreement. We have no say in it. We totally disagreed with this. We said, no, we have to have a say. Both parties must be able to discuss. And thirdly, the agreement, the package that was negotiated, that was the third issue, was very badly negotiated. So that is why we said, no, we have to renegotiate and see whether we can come to an agreement. And I'm confident that we'll come to an agreement. I must say something else. Madam Speaker. I said in my answer that unilaterally the British decided that they will want now to wait for President Trump to become president. I must say, the Deputy Prime Minister, many times, I also supported that. That why are we afraid of President Trump coming to as if he will tear the agreement? We find that, in fact, it was a bit better, let him have a look. If it's a good agreement, why would he not agree? Let us see. So that is the situation, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Want another bite?
Yes, of course. The Honourable Prime Minister raised two issues which is still under discussion. Three issues, actually. The first one is with regard to sovereignty. The second one is with regard to the duration of the lease. And the third one is with regard to the financial package being proposed by the UK government. With regard to the first one, can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether there has been changes concerning the exercise of sovereign rights granted on Diego Garcia and the conditions attached to?
Yes, indeed, there have been changes. The British agreed. We insisted that the sovereignty issue is the crucial issue, is the most important, not the financial package, but the sovereignty issue. This is a battle that started long ago. Now we are about to reach it. We insisted that it be clear that we have complete sovereignty on the Chagos, including Jago. That the British agreed to, and this has been changed.
So we understand that this has been changed. With regard to the duration of the lease, is it still 99 years now or less than 99 years?
Maybe he's not aware because all this was done in secrecy. Even the officials, Madam Speaker, were not aware what the agreement was. They went to London, but they were asked to leave the room. Only the former Prime Minister and the British Prime Minister spoke. And this is why the deal is like what it is. He had agreed to 99 years plus an extension where the British would decide themselves that they want to extend the lease and we would have to accept. This also we disagreed. We said, no, 99 years, okay. Reluctantly, okay, we agreed. But not on the extension. The extension has to be agreed with both parties. It cannot be unilateral from the British. And I'm glad to inform the Leader of the Opposition that that also the British have agreed.
So this is good news, Honourable Prime Minister. Now, may I ask the Prime Minister with regard to the financial support given by the government of the UK, first to Mauritius and second to the Sagosians. Have we finalized also on that issue?
I'm not in a position to give details, but let me say something. That package was very badly negotiated. I can't understand how. It seems somebody who didn't know mathematics had negotiated, who didn't know that inflation existed, that had negotiated. They had agreed to a package that for 99 years, but not inflation-proof. But no, the exchange rate, because it's in dollars, the exchange rate would be fixed once and then on the loss in the 99 years. How can that be? Any ordinary sixth form, fifth form student would agree that inflation exists. We have to be inflation-proof. What's the point of getting money and then having half of it by the end? This is what would happen. Eh? We have made the calculation. So that also we did not agree, and we wanted also front-loading. Some of the money had to be front-loaded, and that also is being agreed to, I think.
So do I understand from the Honourable Prime Minister that now all issues have been cleared and we have an agreement with the government of UK?
That is not what the Prime Minister said, as far as I can hear. But Prime Minister, please, maybe you want to reply.
You're absolutely right, Madam Speaker. I explained that we had come to this agreement, ready to sign on that basis, but As we had said ourselves, the Deputy Prime Minister repeatedly said that President Trump is not a wolf. Let him see if the agreement is good or not good. And we also agreed. Now the British, late in the day, decided that yes, it's better to let the new administration have a look. And this is what the situation is.
Il est peut-être déguisé en loup. Il est peut-être déguisé en loup.
I'll get to President Trump later, Madam Speaker. Can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister whether Mr. Olivier Bancoult, the President of the Chagos Refugee Group, has been regularly briefed on discussions on the agreement and whether he had attended meetings chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister?
First of all, let me say that he was briefed, both by myself and the Deputy Prime Minister. I saw him even recently. And again, we had spoken because he was also wondering what was happening. But he was not in the meeting. The meeting, the British decided it would be Mauritius government and the UK government.
Now, since I've mentioned Olivier Bancoult and the Chagos Refugee Group, will the Honorable Prime Minister be able to inform the House whether, with regard to resettlement and financial compensations for the Chagosians, we have reached an agreement on that issue, that is resettlement of the Chagosians on the archipelago?
We have, Madam Speaker. Also, there's a special fund which has been earmarked just for the Chagosians. That also is there. That was negotiated before. It is still the same. But we have also, I must also say to the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, I'm going to the African Union meeting that is being held in Addis. I have asked Mr. Bancoult to accompany me because we need to tell our African brothers what is happening about the last decolonization in Mauritius.
Yeah, let me ask a question in relation to what you have just said. You have had a phone conversation with the Honorable Prime Minister of the UK. President Trump now is in office. Do we have a time frame with regard to the issue of Chagos now?
Madam Speaker, the President has just been elected, the American President. I'm not in a position to impose a timetable on him. He will have to look at it when he has other issues at the moment, just like we had at the very beginning, we're still having. And we will then start the negotiations or whatever.
Honorable Prime Minister, in your reply, you stated that there has been an independent review of the draft agreement by a team of legal advisors. Can you inform the House, the person comprising that team?
Yes. The person, it was, of course, there was the Attorney General. Then there's a former Solicitor General, Mr. Luren Debi, was present. There was Mr. Milan Mitorban, who is a constitutionalist lawyer who knows about the problem of Chagos. There was also the civil servants from the firm, Mrs. Martin, who knows Chagos. But for legal team, specifically yours for legal team, there was the legal team here, but also I took international expert from a firm called Withers. They were advising because they know also of the problem. Remember, I'm the one who took Mr. Brownlee, QC, as the first barrister to look at Chagos. And then I'm the one who took Mr. engaged Mr. Philip Sands to continue the negotiation. So that is what we're doing.
Since you mentioned Professor Sands, can you inform the House whether he still forms part of the legal team?
We've had, I think the Attorney General had a meeting with him, but no, he's not in the legal team. We have to have a new legal team. Professor Sands was part of the team which made the previous deal. So we are looking at it with a pair of fresh eyes.
Madam Speaker, I've put this question because Professor Sands have been dealing with this case since 2008, and as you said, you appointed him. And I understand that in this situation that the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, Professor Sens was not informed that his services were no more required, and that there was no proper handing over between Professor Sens and the new legal team.
In fact, may I tell the Honorable Leader of the Opposition that Professor Sen's contract expired on the 31st of December 2024. After that, I wrote a letter to him to thank him for his services and to keep in touch.
The honourable member from, fourth member from Port Louis North has asked. Otherwise, he won't have time because time is almost up.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Speaker, may I ask the Prime Minister? He mentioned 2 delegations going early January. May we know the composition of both delegations, the first delegation and the second delegation that went to London?
There was, as I said, there was the Attorney General, the former Solicitor General, Mr. Mitaban. I think Martin was in the first one, but not in the second one. That's it.
Okay. Yes, time is
Please, I'll make fast.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, the UK Foreign Secretary, in a statement to the House of Commons on the 7th of October, he said the following, that with regard to this agreement, a treaty and a bill will be submitted to the UK Parliament for scrutiny. May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister to inform the House as to the way forward for Mauritius once an agreement is reached between Mauritius and the UK? Will it be, as it is in the UK, scrutinized by Parliament?
Should have asked this question to the former Prime Minister. Why did he come to an agreement all in Katimini and nobody knew about it? Nobody knew.
You have not answered my question. Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister to inform the House in the event that no agreement is reached or that President Trump and the US are not favorable to Mauritius obtaining sovereignty over the Chagos archipelago, what will be his next course of action?
Let us not cross the bridge before we reach the bridge. Let us reach the bridge and then we'll cross it.